Anti-abuse plays an enormous role in election security, probably far more than most people realize. There's a oft-repeated stat that 91% of security breaches start from email. Most of those breaches start from spear phishing, which means like the Podesta hack. State election officials who get hacked, have malware on their device, plug it into the election machine, and you've infiltrated a network, right? It starts from email. It starts from the work of MAAWG members, the inboxes they're protecting, the services they're offering. If we protect these things properly, we can protect by proxy our election systems. And if we can't, there's a threat to democracy through the work we're not doing. And we need to step up and be part of the solution.
You know, we're not just always email, right? A lot of the companies that are members are also operating system companies too, right? Could be Microsoft, Apple. A lot of the technologies that are being used in elections today are running those types of operating systems. And so you start thinking about issues around patching and the security around those technologies are going to become important, because as we move forward as a community, yes, paper ballots are still being used, but I mean, a lot of us are doing electronic voting, you know, at our polling stations, but in the near future, we probably will also see, maybe at some point, online elections where you can vote from your own home. And so to begin to think about those technologies and how we can secure them and the consumers that are going to be using them has become very, very important around that as well.
Last year at MAAWG 44, we had a session on election security with a researcher from Microsoft who's been very involved in election security matters, the woman from NIST who's in charge of the voluntary voting guidelines for the state and local offices, Harry Hursty, who's famous from the voting village and hacking the deep old machines, and there's an HBO documentary around him. And that conversation was really powerful because everyone's scared of anything election related that touches digital systems, because they're just unbelievably easy to abuse and manipulate. And so we had conversation around how do you verify end to end that the vote that you cast is the vote that was recorded, and you can check that, but no one else knows what vote you cast. And how do you actually make the integrity of these systems paramount so you can ensure democracy but actually do interesting things? And one of the interesting things is vote by email, which is really, really scary unless we get it right. And so there's so much meat on these bones, so much not just policy work, but technical work and ecosystem and understanding. And MAAWG is a place where we can demonstrably have meaningful conversations and really move the pieces that touch email and the voting officials, move that forward in an effective manner.
You know, there's also some other issues around the election systems right now. Like we've been hearing a lot on the social media side of things, right? How disinformation campaigns are being pushed. We saw that in the U.S. election recently, where there's a lot of concerns about, you know, other countries, jumping in and causing this disinformation. One of the things that we're hoping to also look at MAAWG here, especially with this new election SIG, is how do we control that information? We have another panel that's actually happening this week called Abusive Takedowns, and it's based on the issues around abusive videos and other technologies. It was related to the Christchurch situation when that terrorism situation happened. Uploads of the video ended up on the internet, and we had to take some time to work with providers to remove those videos. That same sort of mentality could also be placed here within the election cycle, that if we're seeing disinformation, you know, not free speech situations, but disinformation things, can MAAWG take a look at how to help companies understand what's true and what's not true, what's not free speech and what's related to free speech, but how they can remove that, all that disinformation and any sort of meddling in our election through those platforms.
The final thought for me on election security is we need more stakeholders from more countries dealing with more problems. We need you to come to MAAWG and be part of the conversation so we can all be part of the solution and solving your problems together.